Okay, bros. Let's rock and...
Right free, citizen.
Put a root beer in it, Vincenzo.
Just like the first time.
Nothing but net.
Welcome back to the Titanium Hangar. Welcome to Biker Mice Week here at the Titanium Hangar. And this week we're going to be talking about the 2006 Biker Mice that you see in front of you. Pretty much the whole collection. I'm going to go into that. Then tomorrow I'm going to go into the two play sets, the scoreboard, and the Carbuncle's secret laboratory, or whatever that's all about. And then we're going to get into the vintage figures and vehicles and all that kind of stuff on Wednesday and Retro Wednesday, because nobody else has. But Nacelle has put up pre-orders for the third version of Biker Mice, I guess you could say, and we're going to talk about a little bit about that coming up. But let's get into the 2006 Biker Mice coming up. Alright, so starting out, basics. The original figures were made by Galoob. The shorter ones right here are made by Galoob. The taller ones are by another company called Giochi Prezioski. So it's a different company making them, and so with that, they went to a different style and all of that, and it's pretty interesting how they kind of designed the figures before they designed the show, and it definitely was driven to sell the figures. But I don't think it really sold that well, and really didn't sell that well in the US. But there's some cool aspects to this toy line to the 2006, and we're starting in 2006 and working our way backwards. But they did change up the designs of the figures, the helmets, the colors of the helmets. A lot of stuff was changed and modified. And so with that, it's a whole different toy line. But I do want to get into why I even collect Biker Mice. And I was, a buddy of mine was selling me some stuff, and he just threw me one of these in here. And I had it up on my desk for about a month. And the posability of the original toy line was really awesome. But as I was collecting the original toy line, I kept seeing these 2006 ones pop up for cheap, so I couldn't resist. And so I went after a few of them, and the good thing about the 2006 ones, they're pretty cheap. So I'm going to start out talking about Throttle, and I believe he's the leader of the group and all that kind of stuff. Now, I did watch the show, like one episode of the show, and it's pretty much not my show, but it's interesting. I can see how kids could really dig it and get into it. The helmet actually has a cutout for the ears to go into it, which is kind of interesting and kind of cool. He does have earring right here, big old ears molded in, sunglasses. Now in the vintage one, these ears pop up and down, and his does not. So they have the antenna pop up and down. His antenna are just molded into place, which is a thing which can cause an issue with some of these other ones, like putting the helmets on the Subterraneans and all those kind of things, but Aquatics. So anyway, he comes with a shield, comes with a whole bunch of other stuff. We'll throw a picture up, I think, of kind of the rest of what comes with him. They all have these articulated tails, and the head side to side, no up and down. Arms go out to about here, 360, and we have 90 at the elbow. And so down waist swivel, but no ab crunch. And then legs go out to about here, back to just there, 90 degree, pin. It's not pinless. Way before pinless, because this wasn't, well, 2006, I guess there was probably some companies doing pinless, but I doubt it. And so not a lot there. He does have this little side satchel, and it's no way to maybe clip on any of his weapons or accessories. I don't have all these, and so little ground rules, I probably don't have any of these 100% complete, because I'm not that into it, but it is cool enough to have some of the accessories. I wish I did have them all complete, by the way, but I do have some of the accessories. I'll show what I've got and a picture as we go. But this is Throttle. Let's take a look at the next one, which I think is everybody's favorite. But before we get into Vincent, let's look at this motorcycle. Here is Throttle and his motorcycle, and so with that, this figure actually does look a little different than the other figure. He's got some different molding to him and all of that, which is kind of cool, I guess. But there's multiple different variations of the same figure, and one you're supposed to be able to kind of like grip and plug something in the back. You got a handle to grip it, and it'll move the arms and stuff. That's not this figure or that figure. So anyway, looking at this is what I think is the upgraded version of the bike. And so this is his bike. It's green. So that's the bike he's going with. And it does have kind of a gimmick where you kind of push this piece in and then it'll shoot out a projectile. Now I don't have that projectile loose. I have a sealed one, but I'll kind of show the effect of what it does. But you pull this lever down here and shoots a projectile, sort of. Now, It also has this kind of scope on the back. It was meant to be like a gun for a kid to shoot, a pew-pew for a kid. But getting into this, I have a sealed one, and we can kind of take a quick look at that to get an idea of what's going on here. So here is a sealed one, and probably the only sealed thing I've got for this line. And there are 4 little discs and all this kind of stuff. But the interesting thing is it shows on the back. When we get to these other motorcycles, mine don't do that. And I don't know if this one, the wheel even goes down on it. Yep, the wheel goes down on this one, but it doesn't do any of that kind of stuff on the other ones that I have. So I guess I got the cheap base model of this one and this guy. So when we get to those, I won't really have much fun features to show. So now we're getting into Vinnie and his bike, and with that, this is actually a pretty cool looking bike, kind of a fun one to look at, but it's really just one giant hunk of molded plastic, and then it does shoot. If you load the disc in here, it will shoot. But looking at the figure, so we did see the comparison side by side earlier with these, and has the same articulation as the other figure, as the Throttle, and with that, it does look, and I just want to say, because this is the first one I had, and I looked at this one so much, so it does look like the same character, except just slightly different. It's almost like he's the same character in a different universe. It's almost like he's no longer on Earth and he's on Mars. Biker Mice from Mars. So he's pretty cool. As for accessories, doesn't really come with that many accessories, but I will put a picture on the screen somewhere in here and kind of show what he comes with. And I think there's a lot of different options and opportunities. There's not very many resources to even look this stuff up, but if I find a picture, I throw it up. Here he is on his motorcycle, and again, this is a basic motorcycle. Forgot to show in the articulation section that the hands move so that you can position them on the motorcycle. So that was kind of a giant oversight on my behalf. And I don't think the vintage one's hands moved, but the motorcycles were designed for them to just hold like this on all the handles. So with that, here he is kind of riding his motorcycle. Now these do have kickstands, which is kind of cool, so it can help it hold up, or you can just let it ride. But they do sort of hold up without the kickstand. But yeah, kickstand's pretty cool. Cheap. Way cheaper than what we got with the originals. Let's see what the original looked like. I believe this is the Throttle Rocket. I mean, of course, I'm going to have to look up all this stuff before I do another video, but I think it is a Throttle Rocket, and it's this looks so much better, and I am going to go into reviewing this one on Wednesday. We're going to be looking at that and taking a look at the chrome and just look at the different aesthetic of it. Yeah, it's a much different vehicle, and this actually does match the cartoon, though. So now I got to go back and show the difference between Throttle's bike, and they don't match at all. I don't know why they went with green on it, which doesn't actually bother me. I just don't know why they did it. So why did they go green? I don't know, but this is like all the chrome and all that's just what I think of when I think of the Biker Mice, and what I remember from the 90s. I started collecting toys in 96, so there were a lot of these on the shelves at KB, and I didn't know what they were, and I didn't know the show back then, but I was like, man, that's a lot of chrome on the bike. We took chrome for granted back in the 80s and 90s, so anyway, that's the difference. I'm gonna roll right into a bike comparison. So this is the Moto bike versus the vintage Moto bike, and much different, much different. The vintage one was purple, this one is blue, and this blue one is like a tricycle. It's got 3 wheels on it, so it's a much different design. It doesn't do a whole lot. I think they made a deluxe version that does all the shooting of stuff. There's a button to shoot some sort of projectile somewhere in it, but it doesn't convert and do all that kind of stuff. So I got the base model on this, but at least I'm glad I've got something for this line, because they are harder to get the bikes, although when they pop up, they're cheap. So the next thing I'm going to look at here is Moto, the standard Moto, and from what I understand, none of mine have that hand moving gimmick or whatever that was supposed to happen. So this is his helmet, and it goes on like so. Doing it one hand sucks. So all right, so anyway, let's put his helmet on, and then he comes with this gun, which is kind of like a grappling hook kind of gun. And he comes with a few other accessories, and I will try to put a picture up again for any of these, for whatever I'm missing from them. And he looks pretty good, and of course we did compare him to the original vintage. He does have more purple in him, so the theory is that it's more stylized to the 2000s versus the 90s, but same thing with his motorcycle. So pretty cool. They're big, they're massive, and not really the greatest, but this one does some cool stuff. Like you can see a piston back here in his mechanical arm, and then so he's just got this giant mechanical arm, and then I think some of his accessories could actually clip onto his arm. So that's it. But I don't have all of the accessories, which is sad. It really kind of sucks trying to do a whole retrospective video on a toy line that I just kind of picked some cheap lots up. But it's the best I've got, and I'll show pictures to show the rest and the difference and all that kind of stuff. But there is Moto, pretty cool looking dude. So now we get into the aquatic team here. So this is just all the main characters done again, so they can put them back out, or I don't know if they just did them all at the same time or one wave after another. I don't know how it was done in 2006, but with this we do have quite a few. I'm missing quite a few parts here. Well, let's start with the one right in the front here, and of course we have good old Vinnie, and there are some cool things here with this guy. So looking at him, he does have some sunglasses that are removable. He also has a face mask and a hose, which I am missing. And then this gun here, this pew of his, it shoots out a projectile I don't have. And then he has a surfboard. Now, I'm not in on like gimmicks and stuff like this, but this is kind of a cool gimmick. I don't know if he's really supposed to hold it or not, but you can plug his feet in if you take his flippers off, or maybe even with the flippers on, you can plug his feet in. Yeah, I guess you can. And you plug the feet into these tabs, and then you've got him on his sort of surfboard. And I don't know if you can plug this in anywhere, so I just have him holding it. Again, I have no information about these other than a carded figure that I show on the screen. And the rest I'm filling in the gaps, just trying to figure out what's going on with these guys. But still, I don't really like stuff like this. Repaints, Turtles did it and all that kind of stuff. But usually, but this is kind of cool. This makes the Biker Mice 2006 feel different. So let's get into the next one, which is Throttle. If I get him to stand, I don't have any of his stuff really. But now the thing with all of these, and I didn't show it on him, is they all have these two-piece kind of chest armors. So they can look bare like this, or you can put the armor on it and on them, and there it goes. Now he's also supposed to have a face mask that this connects to, this hose connects to. They all have a hose like that. I only have the one hose. And then he has this backpack that has kind of like you can go through the water there, and this disc you can disconnect it too and do other things with it. That's kind of cool. I think he's supposed to come with a surfboard also. Of course, I will try to put a picture up of what he looks like in the package, but pretty cool overall. He does have flippers too, and holes and all that. But then we get into Moto, and here is Moto, which of course he's bigger. He's a big dude. And with his backpack, he's back heavy. Okay, this is where I started getting frustrated. I do not display them with any of these little face mask pieces on because they're so hard to keep on. But they would stay on better if the hose that's connected to here and connected to there, it would stay on better if I had the hose. So I understand that. Now this is where I kind of started thinking that he's got some stuff going on. Now this is supposed to be a missile that attaches to his arm cannon, and then there's a hole, or somewhere in here you're supposed to have an arm cannon. I guess it just was glued on and it broke off or something. I don't know. That's interesting. And then he has this backpack. Yeah, it was about 3 days of a nightmare trying to figure out what part went with what and what went with what. But I buy multiple collections and just kind of trying to piece them together as cheap as I can. So I don't know if this was 2 pieces when I first got it or not, or just 1 piece, and then it clips on there. So that's kind of all that does. He also has his. Now he's got a big old one, and that's kind of cool looking. And one thing is, of course, it matches. The colors match. Obviously, they use the same colors from that batch and all that kind of stuff. And then the weird thing is, I don't know if I can get his feet together. There we go. And then he's on it. Now, he's really unstable standing on this. You'd think he'd be more stable, But no, maybe he is more stable if you just lean him forward a little bit. There's the aquatic team. Let's look at the next team. So the next variant repaint team or subgroup is going to be the motocross team, and so with this they all have their own specialized armor on them, and so that's kind of cool too. And with that, I think I got the right figure. Maybe this one was the Subterranean, but anyhow, they also come with some interesting stuff. But let's quickly look at Modo, and I'll have to show a picture of everything that's missing. But what's cool about this guy is that, well, all of them, they have different types of helmets. So this is more like original Biker Mice. And then they got this helmet. So it's really soft and pliable. But getting, and I'm not going to take the other ones off, but getting it on is really hard to get the antenna through there. Because, there we go. I don't know if they're supposed to be bent like that or not, but anyhow, it does have some clear plastic on it, so there's some different stuff they're doing with this that's pretty cool. And then I'm not really sure about the rest of his accessories on this guy. I do have his chest armor on him, and I was like, oh, at least I had that for him. But we'll move on to this guy. Now, this is where something different happens also. They have like shin guard armor, which is something different. Now, we're going to see this vac metallized shin guard armor stuff in the Vintage line for the Biker Mice Knights, which is the coolest part of this whole entire toy line, Biker Mice Knights. But there's that, so that's pretty cool. And I think do I have this on the wrong way? Is it supposed to go like this? Yep, I had that on the wrong way. And he has some accessories, of course, obvious I'll show. He's got this piece here. I think I only got one, like a arm attachment too. So cool stuff. I mean, I guess they have to be armored up so that they don't hurt themselves while they're jumping jumps and stuff. I don't know. All right, now we can get into the last one. So that was Throttle. This is Vinnie and Vincent. He has his armor too, and that's really all I got for him. Just repaints. They're coming up with ways to repaint them, but at least they give them new stuff. And of course, I'll show a picture of his stuff that is missing from this. But, see, I'm not a huge fan of them doing this, and I really wasn't a fan of what they did with the Turtles back in the day, but I guess they're following suit. Now, this is the only one I have for the Subterranean line, so I'm guessing the Subterranean came last, and so there were less of them around, or I just didn't randomly get them in lots that I was picking up. So this one here, so we've got good old Throttle, and he has what appears to be some sort of a gas tank or something, Subterranean. Maybe it's a gizmo to measure stuff. That's kind of cool. He does have this gun, a pew. That's cool too. And then he has his tiny little helmet, which is really hard to get on and off. But he also comes with glasses, which is really hard to get him to wear and wear the helmet at the same time. So that doesn't really work. So this is where you start having all these accessories, and I can see why they can get lost. He also comes with a backpack. And so they all do have accessories like this with backpacks, and he's got a flashlight that kind of hung off his backpack there. So a lot of cool accessories. This is pretty cool and interesting. And if you were into Biker Mice and you're like, oh man, it'd be cool to have all these accessories and stuff, then that is kind of cool overall. But I don't have the other two, but I actually have some of their accessories. And so with that, the color scheme for Modo, and I'll throw pictures up of them, but there's some of the accessories. And then the color scheme for, what's his face? And there's his gun and stuff for Vinnie. And there's pictures so you can see what they look like and all that great stuff. But yet another repaint. So let's get into the bad guys so we get some new figures. First bad guy, I literally just barely have the figure. He's hard to get a hold of. I guess he's a troop builder, the Claw figure. And so with him, he's got a lot of similarities to some of the other figures. Like he's got this holster that doesn't holster anything. And articulation about the same. But mine is super floppy. And I don't know if they're all that way or what, but he has these kind of weird looking goggle pieces on and shoulder pads. Like we've seen shoulder pads on a couple of these other ones and similar type of articulation. And it's just kind of plain and boring for that, but there he is. And I am going to show some pictures of him. He does come in that box version where I guess you clip that contraption to the back of his back and then pull the trigger and move his arms and legs and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of cool. And the Claw guy also comes with the standard version, I guess. So there they are, and that's all the accessories and stuff that it comes with. So let's move on to something a little bit bigger. This is Cataclysm, and he is huge. I put him next to Subterranean, Throttle, and the vintage Vinnie, so you can get the size of him, but he is big, and I don't see very many of him out there. So, and I guess you could say that about most of these, but this guy is really hard to find, and on the level of like Claw Trooper, hard to find, but he's big, and I think he's built relatively well compared to some of these other ones. But let's get into looking at what all he can do, and this is one big, mean-looking dude, a cat. He's a cat. He's got a little articulation there, and well, shoulders don't do much, and spin around. I really feel like there should be more articulation with that, but I feel like it's kind of Centurion articulation with added in waist swivel. But he does have like a chain for a belt and this scratch belt buckle on there. He's got a nice 12-pack of abs going on. You can't tell where his abs stop and his chest starts. That's crazy. But he's huge, and he's got this strange kind of shape to him and all that kind of stuff. And here's his back with a stubby little tail. And all of that. And I will display up on the screen what his stuff is, what all comes with him. Yep, a lot of editing in this video, because, I don't have all this stuff, I'm not chasing it all down, and most of it's not available in the US. Now we get into Night Shift, which is the baddest of the baddies. This dude is cool, if the other ones would stand up. This is a pretty cool figure overall, and pretty cheap one, easy to get, except with his accessories it gets a little bit harder. So his motorcycle looks really awesome too, and this is, I think, the standard basic one also. It doesn't have the upgraded stuff to it, but it has a push button right here, I think, to launch if I had a missile in there. So it looks kind of cool. It does have the kickstand on it like we saw with the other ones. Now with this guy, he comes with a ton of accessories, so let's get into each of these accessories, but let's look at this figure. He has a cape which you just kind of put over him. It does have rubbery stuff around the cape, so it connects the soft goods to a rubbery substance. There is some sort of a stamp marking on there. I don't know what that's supposed to be, or if that is even supposed to be there. He's got a strange looking head. He's really skinny. He has no elbow articulation, unlike the Biker Mice guys have some elbow articulation. He has no knee articulation, so he's like 5 POA. He's a 5 POA figure, and there it is. There is the connection point for that gimmick that we were talking about. So he does come with this gun, which is pretty cool. It's a cool looking gun. And then he comes with this cane. Now this is the whole classic knife and a cane situation. I swear I had this in 2 pieces and I put them together. Now it's not coming apart. So anyway, I'm not going to bother with that. Let's see what else he does. He has these night goggle kind of things. He's got some interesting gear. I don't know if he can't wear them. Can he? So this is another thing where I was like, I don't really know how he's supposed to use this. And then he's got this gun. And along with the gun, well, it's not really a gun. It's more of let's see if this hand holds it better. It's more of like a maybe it's sort of device to find whatever substance they're looking for, and then he can put this on his headphones. Okay, that's not working. None of this is working. None of this is working. He got his headphones. There it goes. I don't know exactly how that's supposed to work. Maybe you just string it around his neck and it looks like that. Talk about the Night Shift. That's the Night Shift. And that's it for the figures. Okay, we're going to end with looking at their Millennium Falcon of the toy line, the AKA Mobile Command Center. It's a vehicle, it's a playset, it's more of a playset. And how do I know that? Because it's on the box. And yes, I got the box. I didn't really go after the box, but it's nice to have it, and it's nice to be able to store all this stuff in this. I'm going to cram as much of this line in this box that I can. But anyway, there it is. It shows the tracking station up top. That's what that thing's called. It's got a scorching hot roof court. It's got fold-out diagnostic sentry. And then it's got stealth front tech grill with energy disc blaster. That doesn't work on mine. And then looking at the back, we can see, boom. One thing I want to point out, a few things. I have most of the stuff. I don't have whatever this control panel box is. I don't have the basketball, the actual basketball. And there's like an antenna on this thing that I'm missing. Aside from that, I think we got everything else. We can take a look at it. So let's get into looking at this bad boy, which is pretty interesting. Now, it's always confusing when you're collecting biker mice and you see this a lot, or a few times pop up, and you just start to wonder, like, what is this thing? Well, this is from the 2006 line, which is why it's a bit confusing, because it's not vintage and it's not even Galoob. But it's kind of funny because once you open it all up, this is what it looks like, and the figures are way taller than the roof of the vehicle, so they gotta like lay down in there if you close it up or something. So the only thing that really fits in there very well are the motorcycles. So what exactly does this do? Well, it doesn't do a whole lot. We'll start real quick up here. We do have kind of like a helipad, a landing pad, and then we have this thing right here that we saw on the box. They called it something, tracking station and landing pad. Then we have what looks to be like a TV, and it has the night shift guy on it, like they're tracking him. Now, this TV's, I've seen it in multiple different orientations. Like you can have it up and you can have it down or whatever. Also, there's this satellite, which is pretty much self-explanatory. It's a satellite, does its thing, and over here would be another like tracking station. This here. Now, I think there's more parts and pieces that could go to like more of these kind of things. This is a repair bay for your bike, and I just like put a figure on it, but you want to probably make them look like they're fixing their bike or something like that. So it's a bike repair bay or something. I think I'm missing a leg to this or something like that. So moving along, there's a ramp, and it shows on the box, say, another one driving up the ramp, which to get it up here, maybe you're going to do some work. And then if you look top down, there's kind of a pit here. This is an area that you can put stuff in. It shows like tools laying on the ground and all that kind of stuff in here. So, and this little piece that it's got little tabs on it to hold it in place, but it doesn't really work. Here's a basketball goal. Here is a contraption you would use spring-loaded to shoot basketballs into the goal. Whew. I don't have that little ball. It's smaller than the one that I have that goes to the vintage line, but that's pretty much everything on the inside. Let's go ahead and start figuring out how to convert this over. So we're going to pull the figures and stuff out, and then I'm going to push it back, and we're going to do a massive conversion. Let's see, get it all in frame, and it's not really anything all that special, but you fold that, and you fold this up. And I'm not sure if you have to remove I think you have to remove this, but I'm going to see if I can do it without removing it. Yeah, I think you have to remove. I'm going to remove it. I don't care. Fold this over. And then fold this over. I guess you should have folded the back over first, huh? And then remove that. And we've got it in truck mode. Now, there's a few things about this truck mode that I still don't understand a lot about it, but I think it was just sort of cheaply made. Does it have rubber tires? Nope. Hard tires. It's just a truck. It is separate, so you can remove the trailer piece if you want, and then have just this. And this doesn't do a whole lot. So I kind of thought, oh, this would be cool. It's got a whole, you could put figures in it. No, it's not. And I think another piece is supposed to connect to this to support the floor that has the basketball. So I'm missing that, I guess. And then I don't know exactly how this is supposed to go on, but I just kind of set it in there. It's supposed to go somewhere in here. I guess. I'm guessing. And, you know, there's no reviews or anything about this. Now, what I think is supposed to happen is you're supposed to stick these in here and push this button to launch it. And I actually got one to launch. Hold on a second. Kind of a silly, kind of a toy, and I might take it apart and get it working. It's just strange. But anyway, that is the mobile command center. This is the back of it, and so once you close it all up, it's closed up. This looks like this could open too, so that you could have a ramp to load from the back. And then also you can open up the license plate, BM, Biker Mice, Bowel Movement, and you've got a hook that has a spring on it. So there it goes. So I do hope you enjoyed this look at Biker Mice 2006, or other characters, whatever they want to call it, that was made by not Galoob. And we're going to be getting into the play sets tomorrow, and we're going to be getting into Wednesday all the vintage figures and vehicles. And let me know what you think in the comments below. Like and subscribe. Did you get any of this? Did you even know about this? Did you hear about this? Are you more looking forward to the vintage? Are you looking forward to Nacelle? Hang around.
I apologize for my brother. He was the runt of the litter.
Sir! Yes, sir!
This ship is infested with mice. See to it they are exterminated.
Typical. I got incoming. Well, there goes the ball game.